Everyone's acting like I committed some cardinal sin, but they weren't there, and they don't understand. My name is Caroline Whitfield, and I'm 35 years old. I live in a modern 2-bedroom apartment with my husband, Rowan Hart, at least until he decided to make these receipts into some kind of federal case. Maya Brooks, my so-called best friend, keeps pushing me to come clean about the girls' trips, like dancing at VIP clubs is a crime. My jaw clenches every time Rowan's family calls, especially his sister Ellen with her judgmental tone. I mean, I still handle all our bills, plan every holiday, and keep this marriage exciting while he's content with takeout and Netflix. Everyone lies about something, spending, dieting, whatever. I just kept the receipts. But let me start from the beginning. Last Tuesday morning started like any other. I was stirring my coffee, scrolling through Instagram, when Rowan's shadow fell across the kitchen counter. Something in his stance made me look up. He was holding a stack of papers, and I swear the temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. Care to explain these? His voice was weirdly calm as he spread the papers across our granite countertop. Bank statements, credit card bills, my name highlighted in aggressive yellow, and there it was. The word sweet, circled in red pen like it was evidence in a murder trial. Those are just from the girls' trips. I wrapped my hands around my coffee mug, letting the warmth steady me. You know, the dancing weekends I told you about? Dancing weekends. He tapped the circled word. In suites, with romance packages. I rolled my eyes. Oh my God, have you ever booked anything? They bundle everything together these days. It's just marketing speak. Like when airlines call their middle seats comfort class or whatever. And the second guest charges? Seriously? That's probably just how they bill it. Maya and I split everything. The lie felt smooth on my tongue. Practiced. Because that's what marriage is sometimes. Little cushions of truth to keep the peace. You know what I mean? Rowan didn't blink. He just stood there in his crisp work shirt, methodically gathering the papers into a neat stack. I called the hotel. My stomach dropped, but I kept my voice light. Well, that's a bit extreme. I'm going to stay at Mike's for a while. He turned toward our bedroom and I followed him, words tumbling out faster than I could catch them. You're being dramatic. This is literally nothing. I can explain everything if you'd just... Can you? He was already pulling his duffel from the closet, the one we bought for our anniversary trip to Cabo. Because right now, I'm looking at thousands in charges that you hid. Upgrades you never mentioned. Guest fees for people who weren't Maya. That's not... You're twisting this. I perched on the edge of our bed, watching him pack with precise movements. We can talk about this tonight. You don't need to leave. He zipped the bag closed with a sharp sound that made me flinch. I need space, Caroline, to think about what else might be hidden in our junk drawer. Hidden? I wasn't hiding anything. The receipts were right there. Rowan paused at our bedroom door, his back to me. Then he walked to the entryway, dropped his key into the ceramic bowl by the door, the one I'd painted in that pottery class he'd signed us up for last Valentine's Day, and left without looking back. The door clicked shut with a finality that sucked all the air from my lungs. I stood there staring at his key in that stupid bowl, the metal catching the morning light like it was mocking me. How had everything spun so far out of control in the space of one coffee? I spent the next hour crafting the perfect text. Something casual but concerned, you know? Hey, we should talk about those VIP passes. They're seriously just wristbands for the dance floor. Nothing sketchy. I even added a laughing emoji to keep it light. No response. The silence felt wrong, like a TV stuck on mute. I paced our apartment, straightening throw pillows that didn't need straightening, while my phone sat dark and quiet on the coffee table. Remember when we first moved in, how Rowan insisted on arranging everything just so before we even unpacked our toothbrushes? That's the kind of control freak I was dealing with here. By lunch, I'd sent 3 more texts, each one more carefully worded than the last. The suite upgrades were automatic with the VIP package. I didn't even ask for them. You're making this into something it's not. Can we please just talk? Nothing. Fine. Time for the nuclear option. I marched into our closet, arranged my heels, the ones I'd worn on those trips, neatly on their shelf, and snapped a photo. See? Everything in its place. Nothing to hide. I added the caption, all my evidence right where it belongs, at home, where I'd like to be talking about this. The message showed as delivered, then read, then nothing. My hands were shaking as I hit call for the 4th time, straight to voicemail, again. This is ridiculous, I announced to our empty kitchen. The granite countertop still held ghost smudges from where he'd laid out those stupid receipts. I'm your wife, not some teenager who missed curfew. The afternoon crawled by. With each passing hour, my worry curdled into something harder. How dare he ghost me like this? After 8 years together, I deserved at least a conversation. The silent treatment was pure manipulation, if you ask me. I barely slept that night, checking my phone every hour like some lovesick freshman. When my email pinged at 6:47 the next morning, my heart jumped. But it wasn't Rowan. From DClinaCityViewProperties.com. Subject, lease renewal reminder, Unit 4B. Priority, hi dear Mr. Hart and Mrs. Whitfield Hart. This email serves as your final reminder that your lease renewal for Unit 4B is due this Friday by 5:00 p.m. As per our previous correspondence, both tenants must sign the attached documents in person at the leasing office. If we do not receive completed paperwork with both signatures by the deadline, the unit will default to single occupancy under the primary tenant, Mr. Hart, as per Section 8.4 of your current agreement. Please contact our office with any questions. Regards, David Klein, Property Manager. I read it 3 times, my chest getting tighter with each pass. The room tilted sideways as reality sank in. I had 4 days. 4 days to get Rowan home, or I'd lose not just my husband, but my home. Our home. The place where we'd hosted 3 Thanksgivings and built that ridiculous IKEA bookshelf that took 12 hours and 2 bottles of wine. My fingers closed around my phone like a lifeline. 4 days wasn't much, but it was enough. I'd get him home, whatever it took. I spent all morning drafting texts I didn't send. Hey, can we meet for coffee? Too casual. I miss you. Please come home. Too desperate. You're being really unfair about this. Too defensive. Even I could see that one. The sandwich I made for lunch sat untouched, reminding me of the countless meals we'd shared at our little kitchen island. The spot where Rowan always set his coffee mug still showed a faint ring stain on the granite. Honestly, how many perfect couples really existed behind closed doors? Everyone had their secrets. By 2 o'clock, I'd convinced myself that stopping by his brother's place made sense. Mark's apartment was only 15 minutes away, and Rowan always crashed there during our rare fights. But as I grabbed my keys, I pictured Mark's judgy face. He'd probably already seen those receipts, already decided I was the villain here. My phone buzzed. Maya's name lit up the screen. Finally, I answered. I've been going crazy here alone. You wouldn't believe... Caroline. Maya's tone was gentle but firm, like she was talking to a child. I think we need to have an honest conversation about what's happening. My stomach dropped. What do you mean? Those trips weren't just dancing, were they? The sweet upgrades, the romance packages. Come on, Car, I'm your best friend. Talk to me. The betrayal hit like a slap. Seriously? You too? I thought at least you'd have my back. I do have your back. That's why I'm telling you. The only way through this is to be honest with Rowan. Tell him everything, apologize, and there's nothing to tell. My voice cracked. It was dancing. Just dancing. Why is everyone acting like I committed some huge crime? Because you're lying. To Rowan, to me, to yourself. And you're about to lose your marriage over it. The rage built in my chest, hot and tight. Oh, that's rich coming from you. When's the last time you had to keep a marriage interesting? When's the last time you had to work to keep someone's attention? Carolyn, no. You know what? I don't need this. I don't need you parroting whatever story Rowan's telling everyone. I thought you were my friend. I am your friend. That's why friends support each other. Friends don't just assume the worst and lecture about honesty like some wannabe therapist. Maya sighed. If you keep denying everything, you're going to make this so much worse. Please, just... I hung up. My hands were shaking as I deleted her number. Some friend. She'd probably been talking to Rowan behind my back this whole time, comparing notes, deciding I was guilty before even hearing my side. The calendar on our fridge mocked me with its cheerful magnets and neat X's marking off the days. 3 days left. 3 days to fix this mess before I lost everything. Well, fine. If Maya and Rowan and his whole family wanted to paint me as the bad guy, I'd prove them all wrong. I didn't need their support or their judgment or their precious, honest conversations. I just needed a plan. After 2 days of silence, my phone finally lit up with Rowan's name. My heart jumped into my throat. Hey, I said, trying to sound casual despite my racing pulse. Thanks for calling back. Caroline. His voice was measured, like he was reading from a script. I have a few things to say, and I need you to listen. Remember how he used to call me Care or Carline when he was being playful? The formality in his tone now made my skin prickle. I perched on the edge of our bed, his side, where his pillow still held a trace of his shampoo. Of course, I said. I've been wanting to explain everything. I'm not coming home. 4 words, simple ones, but they hit like ice water. What do you mean? I forced a laugh. Come on, Ro. We both know you just need some time to... On Friday, I'll sign the lease renewal alone and move my remaining things out. That same calm voice like he was discussing the weather. Please don't be there when I do. My fingers tightened around the phone. You can't just decide that. This is my home too. Was. He paused, and I heard him take a breath. I've already spoken to the property manager. Since I'm the primary tenant and you violated the terms of our joint account, they're processing the paperwork now. But one more thing. Another pause. I need you to return the anniversary charm. The velvet box from last spring? Ellen will collect it. The charm, our tradition, one tiny silver piece each year, building a bracelet of memories, dancing shoes for our first date, a tiny house for moving in together, a heart for our wedding. You're being ridiculous, I said, my voice rising. All this over some club receipts? Some VIP packages that don't even mean anything? Caroline, still so controlled, so maddeningly steady. I'm not discussing the receipts, or the IVF fund, or any of it. I'm telling you what's happening next, that's all. We can fix this, I insisted. Just come home. We'll talk properly, face to face. I'll explain everything. Goodbye, Caroline. The line went dead. I stared at the dark screen, my reflection ghostly in its surface. He was trying to scare me, that's all. Testing my reaction, playing the stern husband to teach me a lesson about keeping secrets. The velvet box sat on my dresser, next to my jewelry stand. Inside, the latest charm, a tiny silver key for our 5th anniversary, caught the afternoon light. He'd given it to me just 3 months ago, saying it represented trust. It's just space, I whispered to our empty bedroom. Just a pause. Because that's all it could be, right? Married people didn't just walk away over some misunderpreted receipts. Over a few nights of dancing that looked worse on paper than they really were. He'd calm down. He'd remember all our good moments, all our plans. I traced my finger over the charm box, remembering his smile when he'd clasped the bracelet around my wrist that evening. Space, I repeated firmly. Not an ending. Never an ending. I woke up Thursday morning with Rowan's words still echoing, but now they felt different. Less final. I mean, why specifically tell me not to be there Friday if he didn't expect, maybe even want, me to show up? The morning sun streamed through our bedroom window, catching dust motes in its beam. The same window where we'd slow danced after painting the walls that soft gray color he'd picked. My throat tightened at the memory of paint-stained fingers and stolen kisses. He just needs proof, I muttered, pulling out my laptop. Something he can't argue with. I started with the easy stuff, gathering vanilla-scented candles from the bathroom cabinet, the ones he always said made the whole apartment smell like home. Then I dug through our photo albums, picking shots that showed me smiling, responsible, loving, the good wife he'd married. The receipts were trickier. I spread them across the dining table, studying each line item. With careful annotations, I could explain everything. That romance package charge, just how the club bundled their VIP services, the double occupancy listing, a system default. I created a neat spreadsheet showing how I'd used cash tips from my side job to cover the extras. See? I whispered to my imaginary audience. Nothing suspicious at all. But the real masterpiece was my scrapbook. I titled it Girls' Weekend Memories in glittery letters, then went hunting online for crowd shots from the clubs I'd visited. It took some doing, but I found group photos where I could blend myself in seamlessly. A little Photoshop magic, and there I was, just another face in a sea of dancers, exactly where I'd claimed to be. My phone buzzed. Maya again. What now? I snapped, wedging it between my ear and shoulder as I added another doctored photo to my collection. Caroline, please tell me you're not still planning something for tomorrow. Her voice had that careful tone like she was talking to a child. Just let him process this his way. Process what exactly? I clicked print on my latest creation. Some receipts he completely misunderstood. Carr, I love you, but you're making this so much worse. Just tell him the truth about the trips, about the money. The truth? I laughed, harsh and sharp. The truth is you're jealous. You always have been. Of my marriage, my life, everything I built while you stayed stuck in your safe little routine. That's not... At least I had the guts to go after what I wanted. The words poured out like acid. When's the last time you did anything exciting? Anything worth talking about? You're pathetic, Maya. And you're not my friend. You're just another person trying to make me feel bad for having fun. Dead silence on the line. Caroline, Maya said finally, her voice flat. Get help. The call ended with a click. I slammed my laptop shut, satisfaction buzzing through me as I surveyed my work. The scrapbook looked perfect. Casual, authentic, undeniable. The receipts told exactly the story I needed them to tell. Everything was falling into place. Running my fingers over the glossy photos, I smiled. Tomorrow, Rowan would see all of this and understand. Because if the story looked neat enough, people always forgave the mess. Always. I spent hours getting everything perfect. The vanilla candles lined our kitchen counter like tiny beacons of normalcy, their flames dancing in the growing darkness. Our wedding photo sat prominently on the entry table, my smile frozen in that moment when everything made sense. The fake budget spreadsheet, pristine, logical, and completely fabricated, waited on the dining room table beside a bottle of his favorite wine. It's all about presentation, I whispered, adjusting the girls' weekend scrapbook on the coffee table for the 100th time. The glossy pages caught the candlelight, making my carefully crafted lies look almost magical. Remember how department stores arrange their windows? Everything positioned just so, telling a story you can't help but believe? That's what I was going for. A display of innocence so perfect, so complete, that questioning it would seem ridiculous. I checked my phone. 8:47 p.m. Rowan always came home around 9 when he worked late. Back when things were normal, I used to time dinner by his headlights sweeping across our living room wall. The photoshopped crowd shots looked amazing, if I do say so myself. Hours of work had planted my image seamlessly among strangers. Just another face in a sea of dancers, exactly where I'd claimed to be. I'd even added timestamp details in the corners, because attention to detail matters, right? Story matters, I muttered, straightening a candle that had tilted slightly. And my story makes sense. I imagined how it would play out. Rowan would walk in, probably still wearing that stern expression he'd had on the phone. But then he'd see the candles, smell that vanilla scent he loved. His eyes would land on the scrapbook, the pristine budget sheets. He'd realize how wrong he'd been about everything. The clock ticked to 8:53 p.m. I'd practiced my lines all afternoon. See? Just dancing. Just friends. Just me trying to keep some excitement in my life while you... No, scratch that last part. Tonight wasn't about blame. Tonight was about presenting the perfect picture of misunderstanding and reconciliation. A car door slammed outside. My heart jumped as I did one final scan of the room. The candles cast their warm glow. The scrapbook lay invitingly open, and the budget sheets practically glowed with their neat columns of innocent explanations. Everything looked perfect. Because it had to be perfect. Footsteps in the hallway. Multiple footsteps? No, I was just nervous. Making extra noise was classic Rowan when he was trying to prove a point. He'd probably dragged his feet deliberately, wanting me to know he was coming, wanting to maintain that silly illusion of control. I smoothed my dress, the blue one he'd always liked, and positioned myself by the dining table. Not too eager, not too casual, just a wife waiting to clear up a silly misunderstanding. The key rattled in the lock. My breath caught. This was it. After tonight, everything would go back to normal. Better than normal. Because that's how stories like this worked, right? The big gesture, the dramatic moment, the happy ending. The door handle turned. I held my breath, ready to play my part in this perfectly staged scene of redemption. The door swung open, and my perfect moment shattered. Rowan wasn't alone. David Klein, our property manager, stood beside him clutching a manila folder, and behind them both, Maya. My stomach lurched at the sight of her concerned face peering over their shoulders. "What is this?" I managed, my rehearsed smile cracking at the edges. The candlelight suddenly felt theatrical, desperate. "Caroline," Rowan said quietly, stepping inside. His eyes swept over my staged scene without emotion. Remember when he used to look at me like I was his whole world? Now he might as well have been examining a stranger's living room. I can explain everything. I rushed forward, grabbing the scrapbook. Look, here's where we were. Just dancing just like I said. I even brought the receipts, made everything clear in the budget. See? My fingers trembled as I flipped through the glossy pages. David cleared his throat, adjusting his glasses. Mrs. Hart, I'm here to process the lease renewal. Mr. Hart requested my presence to— This is ridiculous, I cut him off, spreading the fake budget sheets across the table. Rowan, honey, look at these numbers. Everything adds up. The VIP charges, just club packages, the suite, group rates split between friends. It's all here in black and white. Maya stepped forward, her face pinched with what looked like pity. I wanted to slap that expression right off her face. Caroline, please. Don't. I held up my hand. You're not part of this. This is between me and my husband. Rowan moved to the dining table, setting down his own stack of papers. His movements were deliberate, calm, that awful, infuriating calm he'd had on the phone. You're right. This is between us, so let's be clear about exactly what happened. He spread out several bank statements, each one highlighted in angry yellow. Our IVF fund, Caroline, the one we spent 3 years building. His finger traced down a column of withdrawals. Drained, not for dancing, not for group rates, for private suites, champagne service, and romance packages I never knew about. The room spun slightly. Those familiar numbers stared up at me, damning in their precision. That's not— I was going to replace— The photos are time-stamped incorrectly, he continued, his voice still terribly steady. Metadata shows they were edited yesterday. The budget is fiction. The receipts are real, but not the way you've presented them. David stepped forward, laying the renewal form on top of my carefully crafted lies. A single signature line remained empty. Rowan's. The other, where my name should have been, was already crossed out. This isn't— My voice cracked. The candlelight caught Maya's face. Tears in her eyes. Traitor. Rowan, you can't just— I can, he said simply. And I am. He pulled out a pen, his movements precise and final. I stared at my staged perfection crumbling around me. The scrapbook laid open to a crowd shot I'd spent hours editing. The budget sheets suddenly looked as fake as they were. Even the vanilla candles felt like an accusation. It was dancing, I whispered, watching Rowan's pen hover over the signature line. I just saved the wrong receipts. Rowan reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out more papers. My throat went dry as he laid them beside the bank statements. Some kind of technical printouts with dates and numbers. The metadata from your photos, he said, still using that controlled voice that made my skin crawl. Timestamps, edit history, even the software you used. Everything digital leaves a trail, Caroline. I gripped the edge of the table, my nails scraping against wood. The same table where we'd planned our future family over morning coffee. Those are just details. Technical glitches. You're focusing on the wrong things. Maya stepped forward, her heels clicking against the hardwood. Each step felt like a personal attack. She reached into her purse and my heart stopped as I saw what she was holding. The spare key I'd given her years ago, back when friendship meant something. Don't you dare, I hissed. But she was already moving to the counter. The key made a hollow sound as she set it down. I can't do this anymore, she said softly. I tried to help you see what you were doing, but you wouldn't listen. You never listen. Help me? I laughed, the sound sharp and wild in our carefully decorated living room. You're abandoning me. After everything we've been through, you're choosing him? I'm not choosing anyone. Maya's eyes were wet, but her voice stayed steady. I'm choosing myself. I can't watch you destroy everything and pretend it's someone else's fault. She turned and walked toward the door. I wanted to grab her, shake her, make her understand that she was throwing away 15 years of friendship over nothing. But my legs wouldn't move. Maya, I called after her. Maya, you're being dramatic. The door clicked shut behind her. David cleared his throat again, clearly uncomfortable with our personal drama playing out during what should have been a simple lease signing. Mr. Hart, if you're ready. Rowan picked up the pen. I watched, paralyzed, as he bent over the renewal form. Stop, I whispered. Rowan, stop. Look at everything I put together. Look at how hard I worked to show you the truth. The pen scratched across paper. One signature, official, final. The lease is now updated, David announced, gathering the document. Single occupancy, effective immediately. This isn't real, I said, my voice rising. None of this is real. The pictures prove I was just dancing. The receipts, I explained everything in the budget. Why won't you even look? But Rowan was already turning away, his shoulders straight, his back to my carefully arranged evidence. He moved to the ceramic bowl by the door, the one we'd bought together at that craft fair in the park. Remember? The summer air had smelled like kettle corn, and you'd said the glaze reminded you of ocean waves. The sound of his key dropping into the bowl echoed like a gavel. He didn't look back, didn't hesitate. Just walked out, David following close behind, leaving me alone with my candles and my lies, and a silence that pressed against my eardrums like water. The apartment felt bigger without their shadows. I wandered from room to room, trailing my fingers along walls that seemed further apart than this morning. Funny how emptiness takes up more space than furniture. The scent of vanilla from my staged candles had turned waxy and stale. I'd chosen them specifically, the same brand from our wedding reception. You'd think that would count for something, right? That kind of attention to detail used to make Rowan smile, back when he understood me. Maya's key caught the fading daylight from where she'd left it, somehow looking smaller and less significant than when I'd first given it to her. We'd been drinking rosé on my balcony that evening, planning beach trips and sharing secrets. She'd teared up when I pressed it into her palm, like I was giving her some priceless gift instead of a piece of metal that could unlock a door. Some friend, I muttered, scooping up the key and dropping it into the ceramic bowl with a hollow ping, acting like I committed some huge crime when all I did was... I stopped short. There in the bowl, like some twisted art installation, lay the evidence everyone was using against me. Rowan's key, still warm from his pocket, the lease renewal with its single damning signature, and between them, glittering like an accusation, the VIP wristband from my last trip, snipped cleanly in half. I picked up the wristband, its severed edges sharp against my skin. The holographic pattern still caught the light, throwing tiny rainbows across my face. Such a small thing to cause so much trouble. Such a simple accessory that apparently meant more to everyone else than it did to me. The apartment felt like a stage after the play ends, all the props in place but the meaning drained away. My careful arrangement of proof scattered across the coffee table. The scrapbook laying open to those edited photos that were supposed to fix everything. Even the budget spreadsheet printed in Rowan's favorite font because details used to matter to us. I moved to the windows, pressing my forehead against cool glass. Below, I could see Maya's car pulling away from the curb. 3 floors down and 15 years of friendship reduced to taillights disappearing around a corner. All because she couldn't understand that sometimes keeping a marriage exciting means bending the truth a little. The truth. Everyone kept throwing that word at me like it was simple, like it was clean, like there weren't 1,000 versions of every story. I turned back to the entry table, to that ceramic bowl holding the ruins of my carefully built life. The keys, the lease, the wristband. Such small things to tear everything apart. It was just dancing, I said to the empty room, my voice bouncing off bare walls. I just saved the wrong receipts.